So, the time has finally come for me to do my first ranking of the albums of one of my favorite rock bands, if not in my top 3 or top 5, Van Halen. This is also a tribute to the late Eddie Van Halen and the band. And Eddie passed away in October of last year in 2020. Rest in peace, buddy. Love ya. But I'm going to rank 12 studio albums here, no live albums, from the worst and what I think is the worst to the best and what I think is the top. So coming in at number 12 is 1998's Van Halen 3. A lot of people don't realize that Van Halen actually had 3 singers throughout the history of their band. And this is the one album they did with a guy named Gary Cherone as the lead singer. And he was the lead singer for a band called Extreme, which is a very popular or pretty popular hair metal band in the 1980s. But besides that, there isn't much to say about this album. It's just all around an awful album, just not produced well, not powerful, not impactful. And the only good song on this album, in my opinion, is Fire in the Hole. Otherwise, it's just not worth listening to. So ranking in at number 12 in the worst album, 1998's Van Halen 3. Next on the list, at number 11, is 2012's A Different Kind of Truth. So this is the last album they did with David Lee Roth. Since the 1980s, they didn't do albums with him for many decades because the band broke up with David Lee Roth and such. But the reason why this album ranks so low for me is just, number one, and the main point is that single on this album, Tattoo, is just an awful song. It's the worst song that they ever released with the band by a landslide. It's just so awful. And the other reason why this album is just very unbearable for me is just David Lee Roth's vocals are just awful. It's hard to listen to. But one thing I will give to this album is it's got some good riffage and some good licks and solos on it, and songs like She's the Woman, Chinatown, Blood and Fire, Honey Baby Sweetie Doll, Out of Space, some pretty good riffage. But yeah, overall it's just not a great album in my opinion. And that ranks at number 11, 2012's A Different Kind of Truth. Coming in at number 10, and what I think is the worst album in the Sammy Hagar era, is 1998's OU812. The reason why this ranks very low for me is just overall I feel like it's just not really a Van Halen album. Like, sure, there's a lot of very avant-garde playing and unique playing from Eddie Van Halen, but it doesn't feel like a Van Halen album to me overall. And I'm just not a big fan of the way that this album was mixed and produced overall. Like, to go through the track listing, you got some tunes like When It's Love. That was a really big power ballad for this band, but I'm not a huge fan of it. AFU Naturally Wired is pretty good overall, pretty rockin', but Cobble Wobble is kind of an okay tune about Cobble, where Sammy Hagar has his whole tequila business and his thing down there that he's had for many decades now. Source of Infection, which is probably the filthiest, heaviest tune on this album, and one of the best songs. Some epic Sammy Hagar screams, some of the best from the Hagar era. And then just besides that, the only other tune really worth mentioning is Finish What You Started, which is probably the best song on the album, which is kind of a country-style tune. The band really took a different route and changed it up with this song, and it worked. And it's a good song, and definitely the best song to listen to on this album. So coming in at number 10, 1988's OU812. Coming in at number 9 from 1995, the album Balance. Overall, like this album has a good mix of heavy tunes and soft tunes. The album starts off with The Seventh Seal, which is just a heavy killer tune. And then another killer heavy tune on this album is Amsterdam, really good. And then some of the softer notable mentions on this album is Can't Stop Loving You, Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do, and Not Enough. Some really good mature songwriting at that time of the band, but the rest of the album after that just really struggles. It's not that good, and it's not the worst album, but it doesn't deserve to be ranked higher. So coming in at number 9, 1995's Balance. Coming in at number 8 from the Roth era, 1982's Diver Down. A lot of people would rank this album lower, but I actually think it deserves to be ranked a little higher. And a lot of people criticize this album because there's a lot of covers on it, which is true. But you know what? The covers are solid. Where Have All the Good Times Gone, which was originally a Kinks song, solid cover. Oh Pretty Woman, probably one of the best Van Halen covers of the Roy Orbison tune from the 1960s. Dancing in the Street, another solid cover. And even the originals are really good on this album too. Hang 'em High is an absolute barn burner of a tune. Like, my gosh. Then you got the song Secret, which is arguably a top 10 Van Halen tune, if not top 15. It's just got this good kind of jazzy, clean vibe to it. Just a really good vibe. Little Guitars is kind of just okay. The Full Bug is a really rockin' tune. But besides that, the last few tunes are just kind of meh on the album. So, coming in at number 8, 1982's Diver Down. Coming in at number 7, from 1984, Van Halen's 1984. You know what? This album has a lot of hits on it. Some of the most known Van Halen songs like Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher. Those were all huge hits for the band. And even the song I'll Wait, which is a pretty big power ballad. But the reason why this doesn't rank as high for me is I just feel like it's a little overrated of an album. I feel like this was the end of the Roth era where it was kind of getting weaker and it was kind of becoming a little bit too mainstream and such. And the deep dives or the B-side tracks on this tune, like Drop Dead Legs, Girl Gone Bad, House for Pain, all decently good tunes, but just nothing amazing in my opinion, and not prime Van Halen. So coming in at number 7, Van Halen's 1984. So coming in at number 6, from 1986, Van Halen's 5150. Overall, this album is a little too poppy for me. In terms of the vibe of the tune, probably the poppiest Van Halen album there is. But you know what? It's still a pretty solid album. You got tunes like Why Can't This Be Love? Like, it's a little bit of a corny tune at times, but if you really look at it from a producing and view and everything, it is an ultimate pop tune. Like, this is such a good pop tune, especially for that era. Get Up is a pretty rockin' tune. Dreams is a pretty epic tune too. Summer Nights, which is my favorite song on the album. Absolutely love it. Just catchy, has a good vibe. Reminds me of a summer night. Reminds me of being out on a summer night at a carnival or some kind of festival. Best of Both Worlds is a pretty good tune too. Love Walks In is a pretty good ballad as well. 5150 is got a cool riff in there, and I think it's about police and that kind of stuff. So pretty good overall. So coming in at number 6. Van Halen's 5150. So at number 5, and what I think is the best album of the Sammy Hagar era, is 1991's For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. I absolutely like this album and love it, and I think it's the best album out of the Van Hagar era, or the Sammy Hagar era. It's just overall, this album's got a good mix of heavy tunes and feel-good tunes, and I love the way this album is produced. I love the way everything from the bass to the drums to the guitars and the vocals are very powerful. Just the way everything comes together is very good. So it starts off with Pound Cake, just an absolute heavy killer tune. Can't go wrong, and it's got the unique drill that Eddie Van Halen does at the beginning, which was never done before by any guitarist. Very innovative. Then the second track, you got Judgment Day, is absolutely killer. Then you got tunes like Run Around, where it starts to get more feel-good and upbeat, just great tune. Then you got tunes like Pleasure Dome, In and Out, Man on a Mission. Kind of longer tunes, but heavy and good. You know what? Not bad tunes. And you got The Dream Is Over, which is a good tune with a good message. Then you got Right Now next after that, which was a big hit for the band. Oh, just very big hit for the band. Good message, good feel-good tune. Then you got Top of the World, which literally just makes you feel on top of the world, and that's how the album ends. Just all around a great album. So number 5, 1991's For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Coming in at number 4, from 1981, Van Halen's Fair Warning. Overall for this album, it's just got enough hits on it to make it that high for me, but the second half of the album is kind of It's a little too dark for me, but I'm going to go through just the main hits. What makes this album good is it starts off with Mean Street. This is home, this is Mean Streets. Absolutely filthy tune. Makes you want to feel like you want to get in the ring and box somebody. I mean, I know Some famous UFC fighters have come out to the song before. Number 2, Dirty Movies, just absolutely filthy tune as well. Pictures on the silver screen. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Pretty filthy. Then Hear About It Later. I don't wanna hear about it later. Really rock and catchy tune. Then you got the legendary Unchained. Oh my god, it's probably one of the most overplayed Van Halen songs, but out of all the overplayed Van Halen songs, it is just the best song. It just, to me, it never gets old, and it's just such a filthy song. Otherwise, the rest of the album, just to me, is just too dark, and it's just not that good. Tunes like Push Comes to Shove, Sunday Afternoon in the Park, One Foot Out the Door, I could care less about it. So coming in at number 4, Van Halen's Fair Warning 1981. So coming in at number 3, it's 1980s Women and Children First. My gosh, this is just an absolutely filthy album. The band actually recorded this album in about 1 week, and if you listen to it, it's a very raw album. You could tell by the way it's produced, but it's such a good album in my opinion. You know, it starts off with and the cradle will rock. Oh, and the cradle will rock, and the cradle will rock. It's just, absolutely filthy tune that everybody wants some. Everybody wants some. I want some too. Just another filthy, raw tune. Fools is a pretty cool song. Then Romeo Delight. I'm taking the whiskey to the party tonight, and I'm looking for somebody to squeeze. Another just filthy, hardcore tune. And you got tunes like Loss of Control. A bit of a weird song. Not the biggest fan of it, but it's kind of cool in some weird way. Take Your Whiskey Home, solid tune. Could This Be Magic is probably the best bluesy, low-key type of tune that the band did. The band comes together and they all sing at the same time at parts, and it works very well. Then the album ends with In a Simple Rhyme, just great. So coming in at number 3, 1980s, Women and Children First. So coming in at number 2 is 1978's Van Halen 1. I mean, gosh, this is the debut album. This album was revolutionary. It changed the guitar world. It led to a lot of the hair metal stuff that came in the 80s, and it's just an amazing album overall. Like, it starts with Running with the Devil with that horn, like, wow, 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 and then the bass kicks in, you know what I mean? It's just a killer tune overall. Then you got Eruption. Like, just absolutely killer tune. This is literally the solo that made Eddie Van Halen famous. When people heard this for the first time, they had never heard guitar playing like this. Like, if Jimi Hendrix heard this guitar playing, and he died about, I think, 7 or 8 years earlier prior to the release of this album, he would have been blown away by this himself. Absolutely, he would have. Sorry. But just all around revolutionary, amazing solo. Then you got tunes like You Really Got Me, great cover of a Kinks tune, big for the band. Ain't Talking About Love, like, that's a top 5 Van Halen song, just absolutely amazing, so catchy, it never gets old. I'm the One is the next song on the album. Like, the riffage in this song is incredible. There's many great and skilled guitar players to this day that have a hard time playing and nailing this rhythm because it's just so unique and it's hard to get down. And it's just, you know, a lot of people just focus on Eddie Van Halen soloing on all the fancy tapping and everything, but the guy was such a good rhythm guitar player at the same time. Amazing. Then you got Jamie's Crying after that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Jamie's Crying. Very catchy. Atomic Punk, another solid tune. Feel Your Love Tonight. I just want to feel your love tonight. You know, if that's not going to get people in the mood for some loving, I don't know what else will when it comes to rock. And then you got Little Dreamer, which I've always said is a really underrated, low-key tune on the album. Then you got Ice Cream Man. I'm the Ice Cream Man. Stop me when I'm passing by. You know, very catchy. I'm pretty sure that's a cover as well. Then the album ends on Fire, which is just an absolute barn burner of a tune. Like, my gosh. Very metal-like, but just barn burner. And just some of the nastiest screams from David Lee Roth ever. So coming in at number 2 is 1978's Van Halen 1. So for number 1, what I think is the best Van Halen album of all time is 1979's Van Halen 2. Just to me, this album is everything you want Van Halen to be. Great riffage, great solos, um, just great screams from David Lee Roth, catchy vocals, catchy choruses, catchy hooks. It's just got a great mix of everything, and heavy tunes and feel good tunes as well. You got the album starting off with You're No Good, just absolutely killer way to start off the album. You got Dance the Night Away, which is probably a top 5, top 6 Van Halen song in my opinion. Just anybody can enjoy that song, even if you're not a huge fan of Van Halen, in my opinion. Sorry. Then you got Somebody Get Me a Doctor. Oh my god, just a burner of a tune. Then you got Bottoms Up, and it's so catchy, like mama, 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 baby, bottoms up. Like every time I play that in my car, I'm always singing along to it. And you got Out of Love, another catchy tune. Then you got the legendary Light Up the Sky. My god, just an absolute other barn burner of a tune, and it's just legendary all around. Then you got Dead or Alive and DOA on the album. Pretty good tune overall. And you got Women in Love. Oh, Women in Love, make up your mind. Like kind of a more low-key, slower tune, but just very catchy, very relatable to a lot of men out there especially. Then the album ends on Beautiful Girls, which is just such a feel-good summertime song. The best summertime tunes from Van Halen are Beautiful Girls and Summer Nights. So you got one from the Roth era there and one from the Hagar era. But the riff is just so catchy and so slick that I absolutely love it. So coming in at number 1 is 1979's Van Halen 2. This is my first review, so mind me for stumbling at times here and there. It's hard for me to talk for almost 17 minutes straight, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to improve on my videos in the future, and that's that. Peace out.